Man spills coffee on bride's dress. Then everyone stops. When she turns around, the grand hall at the Evergreen Ballroom was buzzing with excitement. Guests in elegant dresses and sharp tuxedos whispered in anticipation, their eyes flickering, toward the radiant bride standing near the center. Grace Matthews, glowing in her ivory gown, was the picture of joy and hope, moments away from walking down the aisle. Suddenly, a loud gasp echoed across the room as a cup of coffee slipped from a nervous guest's hand and spilled right onto Grace's pristine dress. The room froze. Time seemed to slow. Cutlery paused mid-air, conversations died instantly. Mason Turner, the man who'd caused the accident, stood rooted to the spot, his face a mixture of shock and embarrassment. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Who would be so careless? But then, instead of tears or anger, Grace slowly turned around, and everything changed in an instant. Her calm smile and unexpected response stunned everyone into silence, shifting the entire mood of the room. No one saw what happened next. Coming. Grace Matthews had always been the kind of woman who believed in second chances. Raised in a small town in Ohio, she'd faced her share of hardships growing up. A single mother who never gave up, working 2 jobs while putting herself through college. Tonight was supposed to be her fresh start. A new chapter with David, the man she loved deeply. But now, as the dark coffee stains spread across her delicate wedding dress, her heart pounded not just from embarrassment, but from years of fear. The fear that everything might unravel before it even began. Mason Turner, meanwhile, was no stranger to pressure. A young marketing executive in the city, his life was a whirlwind of deadlines and expectations. His clumsy accident wasn't just a moment of carelessness. It was a crack in the armor he built around himself to hide his insecurities. As the murmurs grew louder, Grace's maid of honor, Emily, stepped forward, shooting Mason a sharp glance. "You need to be more careful," she hissed quietly, but firmly. Mason swallowed hard, wishing he could disappear. He wanted to apologize, to make it right, but the sting of judgment in everyone's eyes froze his words. David, Grace's fiancé, caught the tension instantly. His jaw tightened, torn between calming Grace and confronting Mason. He reached out, but Grace gently raised her hand to stop him. In that charged moment, the true test began. Grace's strength wasn't just in her smile, it was in how she chose to respond when everything seemed to be falling apart. Would she let this spilled coffee ruin her day? Or could something unexpected rise from the chaos? Just as the room seemed to hold its breath, waiting for Grace to crumble, something inside her shifted. Her fingers lightly brushed the damp fabric, but instead of pulling away or breaking down, she lifted her chin, steadying her gaze on Mason. "It was an accident," she said, voice soft but clear enough for the whole room to hear. Nobody's perfect. A ripple of surprise ran through the crowd. People expected tears, anger, or at least a sharp retort. But Grace's calm defiance stunned them. Mason blinked, relief and gratitude washing over his face. For the first time, since the spill, he felt seen, not as a careless fool, but as a human being who had made a mistake. David looked on, conflicted. His protective instinct screamed at him to defend Grace's honor, but witnessing her grace under fire made him realize that she was stronger than anyone gave her credit for. Then, Emily whispered from behind Grace, "You're incredible." The small praise was like a spark igniting a new fire. This moment became more than just about a coffee stain. It was a test of character, a choice between bitterness and forgiveness, judgment and empathy. And Grace chose to lead with kindness, flipping the script on what everyone thought this day would be. Grace took a slow breath, her eyes scanning the room filled with familiar faces, some smiling, some still hesitant. But beneath her calm exterior was a story few knew, a struggle that shaped her strength today. Years ago, Grace had been in a very different place. A single mother working 2 jobs, barely scraping by, fighting to give her daughter, Lily, a life she deserved. There were days she felt invisible, overlooked, like a shadow passing through the world without a voice. Her own wedding had been postponed not once, but twice, because life kept throwing obstacles her way. She remembered the nights of doubt, wondering if she'd ever have a moment like this. Standing tall in a dress that didn't cost a fortune, surrounded by people who truly cared. But Grace never gave up. Every challenge was a brick in the foundation she was building for Lily's future. Every setback fueled her determination to rise, to prove that circumstances don't define a person. Their courage does. As the whispers quieted, David stepped forward, his voice warm and sincere. Grace, your strength is incredible, and I want to help make this day as special as it deserves to be. He reached into his pocket, pulling out an envelope. Inside is a gift, a promise to support you and Lily, whatever you need. Because today isn't just about a wedding dress or a spilled cup. It's about honoring the fight you fought and the future you're creating. Grace's eyes welled up, not just from gratitude, but from the overwhelming hope that maybe, just maybe, her story was about to change forever. The room held its breath as Grace carefully opened the envelope. Inside was more than just a gift. It was an invitation, a beautifully handwritten card with an address and a simple message. For a new beginning. David's gaze met hers, steady and unwavering. Grace, this isn't just about today. There's a program I've been part of, helping families like yours get a fresh start. It's about education, housing, opportunities. I want you and Lily to be the first to benefit. Whispers rippled through the crowd, curiosity mixed with disbelief. For a moment, it seemed impossible, too good to be true. But looking at David's earnest face, Grace felt something she hadn't in a long time: hope. She thought of the nights when rent was late, the endless job applications, the fear of not giving Lily the childhood she deserved. This was more than an offer. It was a lifeline, a chance to rewrite their story. David continued, "We want to give you resources, mentorship, and support, a community that believes in you. You've already shown incredible strength. Now, we want to stand beside you." Tears blurred Grace's vision as she glanced at Lily, who smiled shyly, sensing the change. This was more than a spilled coffee or a ruined dress. It was the moment everything shifted. The bigger plan was unfolding, and Grace's journey was about to take a turn no one saw coming. Just as the room began to settle, and hope blossomed, in Grace's eyes a voice cut through the quiet, a sharp, unexpected interruption. "Wait a minute," said Mark, the man who had accidentally spilled the coffee on Grace's dress. His face was flushed, but his tone was serious. "There's something you all need to know." Everyone turned, tension thickening the air again. Grace's heart raced. What could possibly come next? Mark took a deep breath, then revealed, "That invitation? It's not from David or his organization. I intercepted it. It was meant for someone else." Gasps echoed around the room. David's calm facade flickered for a moment. Mark continued, "I was part of the group that helped put that program together. But I found out there's more going on. Something they're not telling you. The program has strings attached. People who accepted help before ended up losing everything. Homes, custody of their kids. It's a trap." Whispers turned to murmurs of disbelief and fear. Grace felt a cold wave wash over her. David stepped forward, voice steady but with a hint of urgency. "That's not true. I promise you this is genuine." But doubt had been planted. The room was split. Some wanted to believe David, others sided with Mark's warning. Grace looked down at the stained dress, the spilled coffee now a symbol of everything tangled in that moment. Hope, betrayal, uncertainty. The bigger plan wasn't just unfolding, it was unraveling. And Grace's fight for a better future had just become more complicated than she ever imagined. Grace stood frozen, the weight of Mark's words crashing down on her like a tidal wave. The stained dress clung to her like a reminder of all the struggles she had faced. But then, something inside her shifted. She looked up, eyes steady and fierce, as the murmurs around her grew louder. This moment wasn't about doubt or fear anymore. It was about reclaiming her own power. "Enough," Grace's voice rang out, clear and unwavering. "I've been knocked down more times than I can count. That coffee spill? It's just a mess. But it doesn't define me." Her hands clenched the fabric of her dress, now a symbol of resilience rather than ruin. She faced both David and Mark. I'm not going to let fear control my future. I will decide what's best for me and my daughter. The room fell silent. Again, but this time it was filled with respect. Grace's courage sparked something in everyone watching, an energy that made the impossible seem possible. Tears welled up, not from pain, but from the fierce hope blooming in her chest. This was her moment to rise above every hardship, every judgment, every setback. She smiled, a slow, genuine smile that lit up the room. I'm ready to take that chance. Not because it's safe, but because it's worth it. The room stayed silent for a beat longer, then a slow, warm applause began, first from a few guests, then swelling until it filled the entire hall. Grace's courage had broken through the tension, turning judgment into admiration. David stepped forward, his expression softened, eyes reflecting newfound respect. Grace, I was wrong. Today, you showed all of us what strength really looks like. His words weren't just an apology, they were a bridge mending past wounds. Mark, who spilled the coffee in the first place, swallowed hard, guilt fading into humility. I never saw what you carry inside, he admitted quietly. You've taught me more today than I ever expected. Grace glanced down at her daughter, Emma, who had been watching silently, wide-eyed and full of pride. This was more than just a moment for Grace. It was a legacy in the making. A message to Emma that setbacks are never the end, but the beginning of something stronger. As the evening wore on, stories were shared, laughter returned, and the weight of earlier judgment lifted like a heavy fog. Grace's transformation had changed not just her own life, but the lives of everyone who witnessed it. Walking out later, Grace held Emma's hand tightly. Remember this moment, she whispered. When you face hard days, think of how we stood tall, even when everything tried to knock us down. This wasn't just about a spilled coffee or a ruined dress. It was about resilience, hope, and the power to rewrite your story. Grace's journey would ripple far beyond this night, inspiring anyone who ever felt underestimated or overlooked. Because true legacy isn't built on perfection, it's built on courage, love, and the strength to keep moving forward, no matter what spills along the way. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to smash that thumbs up and hit subscribe for more unforgettable, emotional, and viral true stories. We want to hear from you. Drop a comment and tell us where in the world are you watching from?